Hello everyone, welcome back to Diksha Vedantu Foundation channel, and you are watching 99% in 99 days, where I am trying to help you to get a 99% marks in your final board exam. All the teachers are teaching today is a town of physics. So we have discussed magnetic effect of electric current part 1 in yesterday's lecture. Today I am going to discuss magnetic effect of electric current part 2. So without any delay, let's start with today's lecture. So first let's look into the chapter detail. So magnetic effects are magnetic field and field lines, then current carrying conductor, then straight wire, then we have circular loop, then we have solenoid, right hand thumb rule, and force on a current carrying conductor, then left hand thumb rule. Okay, there is also one more small topic, domestic electricity, but this is like a I don't like that part. It's like a khichdi part. Domestic circuit should have been covered in the previous chapter, but somehow they have kept some part in that previous chapter, some part in this chapter, which is not good. Okay, in my opinion, that entire thing of domestic electricity, domestic circuit should have been covered in the previous chapter, but somehow they have given in this chapter in your book. Okay, now let's look into the magnetic field due to a circular loop. At every point of a current carrying circular loop, the concentric circles represents the magnetic field around it would become larger and larger as we move away from the wire. So now we know that if the wire is straight, okay, the lines, field lines are concentric circles. Now you can take a small portion of this wire and you can assume that okay, this is a straight wire. Small portion of a curved can be considered as a straight wire if you zoomed enough, right. So this is the, you can consider a small portion of it, you can consider a straight wire. So they will basically give you concentric circles around the wire, but as you go away, farther away, the radius of these circles will keep on increasing, right. This will keep on increasing. Same thing will happen from the other side as well. So if you do this activity at the center, almost you will get a straight line. So and the center straight line represents what? What is the meaning of this straight line? So straight line means the magnetic field is constant. Okay, so magnetic field around the axis of the current carrying wire, circular current carrying wire is constant. That is the main thing. By the time we reach at the center of the circular loop, the arcs of these circles would appear as straight lines. So basically magnetic field is constant along the center of the coil. Now the magnetic field produced by a current carrying wire at a given point depends directly on the current passing through it. Therefore, if there is a circular coil having n number of turns, so this is a only single turn. Now instead of that, suppose we have more number of turns in here. What will happen? N number of turns, more number of turns, each turn is carrying the same amount of current. The current magnitude of the current will be multiplied by n times, right, without doing anything. This is called smart science. So you are just using the coil and increase the number of turns in the coil, and because the same current is passing through the coil, okay, the current will be multiplied, and thus the magnetic field produced will also be intensified. So what will happen to that? Therefore, if there is a circular coil having n turns, the field produced is n times as large as the produced by a single turn. So if the single turn suppose produces x, then n number of turns will produce n into x, right, which is very, very interesting, right. Now magnetic field due to a current carrying solenoid. So now we are discussing about solenoid. What is solenoid? A coil of many circular turns of insulated copper wire wrapped closely in the shape of a cylinder is called a solenoid. So you take current carrying coil, obviously current carrying wire, and you wrap it around like a cylinder. So last case, if you remember, that was only on a circular plane, okay, but if you wrap it around, and if you, instead of making a circle, if you wrap it around like this, that is, you add one more dimension, then it becomes a solenoid. So solenoid is basically like a spring. Okay, if you have seen a spring, that is a kind of solenoid, but you have to make them conducting, right. So that is what a solenoid is. So this is the solenoid. and this is connected in a circuit. There is a key, switch it on, current will flow, and as the current is flowing, there will be associated magnetic field. This is the magnetic field lines due to a solenoid. Inside the solenoid core, magnetic field is constant and it is also very strong. So what will happen is that if you place a magnetic material like iron into this core of the solenoid, this is a solenoid by the way, then it will produce a strong magnet, but that magnetism will only last as long as the current is flowing. If you switch it off, if you switch off the current, the magnetism will be lost. So this is called, this magnetism is induced by this electricity. So that's why they are called electromagnets. Strong magnetic field produced inside a solenoid can be used to magnetize a piece of magnetic material like soft iron. When placed inside the coil, the magnets so formed is called an electromagnet. Now electromagnet, obviously why they are called electromagnet, because this magnetism is induced by the electricity. If you switch off the electricity, the magnet loses its property and it becomes a normal piece of iron like previous, right. Now force on a current carrying conductor. An electric current flowing through a conductor produces a magnetic field. The field so produced that it exerts a force on a magnet placed in the vicinity of the conductor. So as we know that if there is a conductor, there is a current flowing through it, there will be a magnetic field produced as well. Now this magnetic field will affect, if you place a permanent magnet around this conductor, this his magnetic field and this magnetic field, they will interact with each other and they will affect each other. Okay, and what is the meaning of affect each other? They will apply a force on each other. Now if this magnet is fixed, then only this one is hanging, this one will feel the force and it will adjust accordingly. Okay, either it will move closer based if it is this attractive force, or it will move further if it is a repulsive force. French scientist Henri Ampere, his age, suggested that the magnet must also exert an equal and opposite force on the current carrying conductor. So this one is exerting force on the magnet, similarly the magnet will also exert a force on the conductor. Henri Ampere is the person on which the unit of current is defined, ampere, and he was not a young person like you. He was born in 1775 and died in 1836, a long time back, almost 200 years back, right. So he was a genius. He was born in the era where lot of science was not known properly. Okay, Einstein was not there. Okay, even Newton was there, but still a lot of things was not completely clear. Even the electron was not discovered, but they developed science like geniuses, right. Now let us move on. The direction of the force on the conductor depends upon the direction of the current and the direction of the magnetic field. So how they will react to each other, whether they will attract each other or they will repel each other, that depends on two things. What? The current, direction of current in the conductor, and direction of the magnetic field. For example, the magnetic field is north to south in this case, right, and current is flowing in this direction. So whether they will attract or repel, so whether it will move towards the magnet or it will move away from the magnet, okay, that has to be determined by some law. What is that law? That law is Fleming's left hand rule. Very important. So I am explaining it, try to understand. If you still need some help, don't forget to mention that in the comment below. Okay, so you have to make your fingers like this. Okay, you have to make your fingers like this. This is thumb, left hand, only left hand rule, right. Left hand rule means this is the left hand rule. This is also sometimes called motor rule. Okay, there is a generator rule that we will study in future class if time permits, not in this section. That was there in your syllabus previously, but right now it is deleted. Okay, motor rule. What is that motor rule? So basically what happens is that you have a thumb pointing like this, best of luck, then you put it like this, your first finger, okay, gun, and then you put this. Now it is Fleming's left hand rule. Okay, now this finger is pointing towards the motion. What will be the motion? So basically this thumb is coming last in the action. This is pointing towards the field. So field means, suppose we have a north, suppose this is the this was the like horseshoe magnet, right. So this is the north, this is the south. So this is the direction of magnetic field. So this is the direction of magnetic field. So your index finger will point towards the magnetic field. The first finger points towards the magnetic field, and your middle finger points towards the direction of current. Then thumb will give you the direction of force acting on it. So suppose this is the magnetic field. Now I have kept a wire like this, and I am supplying a current suppose in this direction. So this is the direction of magnetic field, this is the direction of current. Then this wire will face a force in the outward direction. That is the Fleming's left hand rule. If you understand this, you can write it using your own words. Fleming's left hand rule statement with diagram is important. It often asked in an exam, may not be directly but as an indirect question. So for example, this rule is applicable when you are using a electric motor. You have seen electric motor starting from fans, then a motor which is pumping the water, or motor which you are using for your play toy, right. You have seen motor. Motor basically works when the current is flowing and there is something is rotating. That rotation happens because of this Fleming's left hand rule. Okay, that is why it is called motor rule. Okay, there is a fixed permanent magnet placed inside that small cabinet, and when the current passes through that, it produces a magnetic field. These magnetic two fields interact such that the pin outside rotates with a high speed. Okay, that is the basic science behind that motor. Okay, so you can remember this statement. This is the statement. According to this rule, stretch the thumb, forefinger and middle finger on your left hand such that they are mutually perpendicular to each other. If the first finger points towards the direction of magnetic field and the second finger in the direction of the current, then the thumb will point in the direction of motion of the force acting on the conductor. Okay, thumb is the direction of the force. This is magnetic field, this is direction of current. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed today's session. Last part is there, that is the domestic circuit. I will briefly explain it, what all about it. Our country, the potential that we use 220 volt. On earth wire there is something called earthing, right. Earthing is basically wire which has insulated green color. It is usually connected to a metal plate deep inside the earth near the house, and any device which is basically built on the metal body, they have a earthing wire. Why? So metal body, in case there is a charge developed in the metal body, that extra charge will be carried by this earthing wire directly towards the ground. Okay, that is the basic function of this earthing wire. It is a safety device, it is a safety measure to prevent you from getting electrocuted. That is it, right. And another safety device is electric fuse, which prevents from your devices from getting damaged by burning itself out. Okay, and in my previous class I mentioned one newer device which is called magnetic circuit breakers, or MCB, which are nowadays very common, much smaller and reusable. That is why it is super important. Fuse used to be effective. Fuse was effective, but the main problem with fuses was that once it burns you have to replace it with a new fuse, right. But MCB are reusable. What is that? If the current suddenly increases, they will switch, they will flip. Okay, after the current stabilizes and the MCB is cooled down, you can flip it up again, so that you can restore the current without even going into the circuit, without even changing the fuse, right. So that is how you can you have stopped replacing fuses again and again. Instead of fuses, MCBs are more popular choices nowadays. That should have been there in your book, but that is not there. Anyway, this is a kind of circuit diagram shown in the figure. As you can see, all the components in these circuits are connected in parallel combination. So whenever you are talking about domestic circuits, domestic conditions, they are all connected in parallel combination, not in series combination. Okay. So this is the electric meter, this is the distribution box containing switch and the fuse. This is the fuse supplied by the electric supply. So when the current is coming towards your house, they supply a fuse, and these are inner fuses. Okay, in case these fuses don't burn out, then this fuse will definitely burn out. Okay, they have set up a fuse so that this does not cause any fire. whereas these fuses are set up such that the individual devices don't burn out. Okay, there are two different things. So, if the fuse, the outer fuse is super low, then they will burn every day. So, you have to go and fix this outer fuse every day, which is not possible. So, they have a higher tolerance limit. So, they burn only in case current is so huge that it might cause a fire. So, in that case it will burn and prevent the fire, whereas these fuses are set such that individual fridge or AC or TV, they don't burn out. That is why they are fixed. They are modern devices, they have a fuse installed even inside the. So, for example, some fridge, they install fuse inside them. Okay, there is a device called UPS which is used to backup power, right. They have a fuse installed inside them, so that in case there is some power short, they will burn and your device will remain safe. That is one of the safety devices, right. And if you also want to install fuse in your future, so that you don't burn out when you are, if you study a wrong subject. So, what you can do, you can attempt our DSAT, Diksha Scholastic Aptitude Test. It is happening across Diksha campuses in Bangalore every Sunday, and for that you have to fill up this form, and DSAT comprises 3 main important steps. So, what are those? First of all, there will be a 60-minute lecture and doubt clearing session. Based on that lecture, whatever the teacher taught you, you might have some doubts, everything will be cleared, and there will be an aptitude test based on that lecture. Okay, there will be different types of questions from the lecture. Some will be memory based, how much you have understood from the lecture, how much you can apply if you are left independently. So, these things are being tested through this aptitude test, and based on that result, there will be a counselor who will guide you for your future steps, whether you should pursue JEE, that is the engineering in the topmost colleges across India, or you should try to get clear NEET to become a doctor in future, or you should appear for KSET, which is to become the top engineer from the Karnataka state. So, these are the choices that they will tell you based on the result of your exam. Now, what to choose it or not, that is completely up to you, but taking an informed decision is always better than taking an uninformed decision. Maybe you want to become an engineer, but maybe you will be better suited if you choose to become a doctor. So, right. So, don't play with your future. Fill up this form, the link is given in the description, and I will be back with the PYQs soon. Tomorrow there will be no videos, tomorrow is 1st January. So, I wish you a happy new year, and obviously Merry Christmas was gone, I was not there during that time. So, I wish you belated Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. There will be no classes tomorrow, but there will be PYQ sessions. We will come back with PYQ sessions soon, but till then, bye.